Okay, so understanding angles in parallel lines. The first thing we're going to have a look at is angles around a point. Now, you need to remember that a point is created when two or more lines cross. Now, we are going to be dealing with when two straight lines cross. Okay, so no matter how I was to draw it, imagine these are straight lines. Okay, no matter how I were to draw these, the opposite angles, okay, are always going to be the same. Okay, so no matter how I cross two straight lines over, the opposite ones are always going to be the same. Okay, so we all know that angles around a point can add up to 360, which means that these four will add up to 360. And because they are straight lines, the blue and the red will add up to 180. Okay, so if we are looking at dealing with angles in parallel lines, now parallel lines are two straight lines that don't meet. So obviously my drawings will be slightly off, but please bear with me. We've got parallel lines here and here. Okay. Now, what I just said about when two lines cross. Now, see, these two lines don't cross, but if I was to cross there, I would have that angle there, and that angle there would be the same, and that angle there, and that angle there would be the same. Now, if we were to imagine that I continued this line on as a straight line all the way through, well, all it means is that these angles that appear here are also going to be the same ones as they're down here. So these two and these two are going to be the same, and those two and those two are going to be the same as well. So when we have parallel lines in this sort of design, the angles at the top are going to be exactly the same as the angles at the bottom, and the blue and the red ones are going to add up to 180. So our answers for angles in parallel lines are either going to be already on the diagram, or they make 180 degrees. Okay. Now the biggest issue that we tend to find is actually identifying which type of angles it's going to be. Okay, so there's three different types. I'm going to show you them now. So I'm going to give you some bog standard parallel lines. Okay, so two parallel lines here. Okay, and there we go. We've got our bisector here, our transversal. So the first thing we're going to have a look at are going to be called alternate angles. Okay. Now, the thing about alternate angles we need to remember is that alternate angles are equal. Okay. Now, alternate angles are created by Z shapes. Okay, and it's the angles that are in the corners of the Zs that are going to be the same. So, let's take a highlighter. So let's say I created a Z shape on here. So this line here, that line there, and that line here. Yes, it's a little bit of a stretched Z. That is absolutely fine. So all this means is that the angles in the corners of the Zs here and here are going to be the same because they're alternate angles. And that was all you'd need to write. You need to write that they are going to be the same. So this is X, this would also be X. And if this was 120 degrees, this would also be 120 degrees. Okay, so in an exam, if you're given this and it asks you to find the value of X, well, X is 120 degrees because alternate angles are equal. Okay, now you may see them where they're like, oh, we don't want blue. Let's say we had another set of parallel lines, and this time the transversal goes here. So let's say we are given this one here, and we're told that this is at 130 degrees, find the value of y. Now, to work out which type of angle it's going to be, all you need to do is highlight the lines that create the two angles you're given. So what I mean by this is to make this a 130 degree angle, I have to use that line there, and it's also created by this line here. Now, to make y, I've already got one of them, and the other angle line that makes it is that one there. So you can see here that I've created a Z shape. Yes, it's back to front, and that is fine, okay, but it creates a Z shape, which means that y is equal to 130 degrees because alternate angles are equal. Always remember to put in this sentence if it's alternate angles. Okay, don't just put alternate, don't just put equal. It has to be that alternate angles are equal. All right. Okay, so let's have a look at another set of parallel lines, and this time we can have a look at corresponding angles. Okay, so let's get rid of all this. Okay, so I don't know how to get rid of that one. There we go. So let's have a look at corresponding angles this time around. So we've still got parallel lines. Okay, we're going to have a look at corresponding angles. Okay, so corresponding angles are also equal. And they make an F shape. Okay, so first thing to have a look at doing is we're going to have a look at creating the F shapes. So F shapes could appear like here. Okay, an F shape. They could also appear this way. All right, so it's not always an F the right way round. It could be a back to front, or it might even be upside down sometimes. All right. So here we have, let's say we're given this angle here, and we need to find this angle here. So let's say this is 140 degrees. Okay, and we need to find x. Okay, I know it's an F shape because if I highlight the lines that create these two angles, we'll see here that this 140 degrees is created with this line here and that line there. Okay, now this x value at the bottom is created with this line here and that line there, and you can see there we've got our F shape. So in this instance, x is going to equal 140 degrees because corresponding angles are equal. All right, let's have a look at another one. So parallel line, in fact, you know what, let's change these up and go like this. Okay, it doesn't matter which way any parallel lines go, but these are still all parallel lines. Okay, so let's say this time we're given this bit here, and we're told this is 120 degrees, and we need to find this value here. Okay, so what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to highlight the lines that create these angles. So 120 is created by this one here and this one here, and the x is created by this line here and this line here. And again, if you turn it, you can see that it is an F shape. So this is going to mean that x is equal to 120 degrees because corresponding angles are equal. All right. Now let's have a look at supplementary or co-interior angles. Okay, so supplementary angles these add up to 180 degrees. Okay, so these add up to 180 degrees. So let's say we have parallel lines. Okay, and let's say we're given this one here is 120 degrees. Let's change that color. This is 120 degrees, and this time we're looking to find x here. Okay, now supplementary angles make C shapes. So what I'm going to do is highlight the lines that create these two angles. Well, 120 is created by that line there and that line there, and the x is created by the same line and this one here, and you can see it makes a C shape. So in this instance, x is going to be equal to 180 minus 120, which will give me 60 degrees, because supplementary angles add up to 180. All right. Now, just going to show you through that you may well get something like this. So, say parallel lines, and let's say you're given this one here, and you need to find this angle here. Okay, so let's say this is 120 degrees. Now, if I highlight the lines that create these two angles, this one here and that one here, and that one here and that one here, what you should notice is that it's not any of the letters we've seen. It's not an F, it's not a C, and it's not a Z. Okay, and that's fine. All we need to do is, using what we learned about the opposite angles earlier, is to create that letter. Okay, and that will get us our answer. So all I need you to do is, if we are finding this x here, is to create a letter around that x. Okay, so if I create a C, it'll be there. All right, if I create an F, that'll be that one there. And if I created a Z, it'll be that there. It doesn't matter which one you create, as long as you create an angle letter, using the letter you are finding. Okay, so I'll leave it as Z for now, and I'll show you through all the ones as we go along. So if I find Z, it means that I need the ones that are in the corners of the Z, which means I need to find this value here. Well, I can find that value here because this line here is a straight line. So this one is 180 minus 120, which is 60 degrees. So I'd label this as y is 60. Well, if y is 60, y and x are alternate angles, so x is equal to 60. Okay, let's have a look at using a different letter this time around. Okay, so I'm going to have to use this line here because I create this one here, and let's say I created F. Well, this time I've got this angle here being a straight line, which means that this one here, we call it y, is equal to 60. And if y is 60, x is 60 because they're corresponding angles and they are equal. Or lastly, if we had a look at supplementary angles, use it here, a C shape. Well, we already know from the first stage that the opposite angle, this one here, is going to be 120, okay, because the opposite angles are going to be equal. So y is 120. And you would state that because opposite angles are equal, they're now supplementary angles. So 180 minus 120 will give me 60 degrees because they're supplementary angles. So it doesn't really matter which one you use, but you need to make sure you're highlighting the shape, okay? And if you can use a highlighter, that's absolutely fine. All right, highlight the lines that create the letters, and if you're not given one, like this example here, create your own shapes and work backwards from there.